Good morning, I'm David Daniel. I'm standing here today, need to get my glasses out, before you as a reminder that this is the last Sunday that we'll be together as a congregation prior to dedicating our financial commitments to the mission of this church next Sunday, November the 7th. Over the past several weeks, there have been other folks that have occupied this time in our service that have well demonstrated the ongoing Christian outreach as well as the historical legacy of this wonderfully inspired church has provided this community of faith for many, many generations. Whether it's driven by these incredible music programs, our ambitious capital campaign, the outreach provided by our selfless deacons, and the commitment shown by our committees and session members, our desire to further prioritize our community engagement to attract a new generation of members here at Central, we're growing stronger in our mission each year. And for that, I personally will be compelled to continue to support Central and look forward to what the future may bring. It is my hope that we will all be reflecting on those opportunities when we consider our contributions for next year. And please remember that you can offer your pledges via the cards that you should have received in the mail, or simply go to the church website, which might be a bit easier for most of us. But I want to take a minute now, and this is where this is kind of interesting to me, to pivot from this community engagement that we've been talking about with all the outreach that this particular church does, and focus on one aspect of my connection to this church, what I find it to be one of the most meaningful aspects of what I receive, what it gives me that I'm increasingly grateful for. Some of you that have really been paying attention will remember that I stood at this pulpit 2 years ago on this very same Sunday, the one before we were going to dedicate our pledges the following week. And following a very hectic year of work and family and capital campaign preparations, at that time I was struck with a desire to slow down, to take a deep breath, and spoke to all of you about finding a place to be still with ourselves and still with our God. I mentioned way back when, in the BP age, the before pandemic age, that the author Pico Iyer wrote the book, The Art of Stillness. And he described all too familiar existence to most of us at that time, that we felt as if, and I quote, we're having the sensation that we're standing about 2 inches away from a huge screen. And it's noisy and it's crowded and it's changing with every second, and that screen is our lives. And it's only by stepping back and then further back and holding still that we can begin to see what the canvas means to catch the larger picture. And here we are now, 2 years later, wearing masks that are often prescribed by mandates, skipping hugs to rub elbows and bump fists, buried in avalanches of cardboard that arrive unceremoniously at our doorsteps, eating with vaccinated friends and family members in plastic bubbles mere yards from our favorite restaurants, and scheduling our work and school days down to the minute, because jumping from one Zoom call to another Teams call is as quick as a click of the mouse. This surely is the golden age of productivity, my friends, but it's often way, way, way too much for me. So I'm reminded by what Mr. Iyer told us, following his depiction of that screen. It's in an age of acceleration that nothing can be more exhilarating than going slow. And in an age of distraction, nothing is so luxurious as paying attention. And in an age of constant movement, nothing is so urgent as sitting still. So here at Central, our huge TV screen might look like this. That we are fortunate by God's grace to be full of life in this old, sweet, terrible world, as Louise refers to it often. In this proud country that's still searching for its soul, among the beauty and shadows of the heroic Rocky Mountains, in the heart of one of America's rising urban population centers. And here in Denver, we, Central, resides at the intersection of uptown and downtown, nestled between the center of businesses and residences, in this beautiful, majestic, yet really needy building, filled with the sounds of construction and worship, the hubbub of children, the buzz of concert goers and choirs, and the list goes on and on. And while all this is really worthy and important, I still long for that stillness that Tim was mentioning earlier. And the irony is not lost on me that I'm reading from a screen at the pulpit, being streamed on the internet, while being bold enough to be advocating for moments of silence on the one Sunday where I should be trying to squeeze every drop of music out of Will to make these memories as full as they possibly can be. But even music needs these spaces. Great such as Mozart believed that the music is not the notes, but the silence between. Or Miles Davis claiming it's not the notes you play, it's the notes you don't play. Those express gaps are what makes this music, blues music, gospel music, deeply endearing to us. And the lack of those gaps are, frankly, for me, what makes bluegrass really hard to take sometimes. But in architecture, as an architect, I sometimes call upon the Japanese word ma, that describes the space between stepping stones as being the most important physical feature that describes that journey that you take. And again, architecturally, I'd like to bring us back to this particular space, this beautiful sanctuary. It's equally full when you're here alone, in the dark, with the light pouring in from the sides, enveloped in silence. And it's not empty then, but it's full of God. When you really want to dwell on God here in this place, what we did just a few minutes ago with Tim, what did you see? What did you look at? Did you look at the cross? Did you look at the light that comes from the sides? Did you look at the volume of this space, the water and the font, the flame and the candle, the face of those children over there? Or did you close your eyes like we traditionally do in prayer, seeking that empty space, that sense of stillness, and find your connection to God there? Some believe that this sense of stillness, an opportunity to connect with God, is akin to imagining you're lying face up in a canoe, only being able to see the sky framed above you while you rock slowly with the ripples of the lake. For me personally, it's a quiet pause. When I go to the beach, I go way out into the ocean, beyond the break of the waves, where all I can see is the horizon, where the ocean meets the sky. And surely God is present in those moments. And I'm describing moments of being alone, but this personal connection to God, I believe, is manifested here in Central in many ways that truly reflect our sense of community. The meal we make for a family in need, the extended seconds of a hug offered to a friend when we feel comfortable doing so, the friendships that lead to invitations to dinner, the bedside visits in the hospitals, the relationship between a teenager and the confirmation mentor, the openness and vulnerability shown between one another as these relationships deepen, and the list goes on and on and on. And this is truly a unique connectivity that Central offers us, or more correctly said, what God offers us through Central. In our world overrun by competing interests, asking us to connect and therefore divert our attention to them, finding a gap or making or providing space for God to dwell intentionally with us together is the truly unique gift that Central Presbyterian, the church that I am called to support, gives us if we take the time to take it. I hope that you might find that time to pause, to be still and reflect on what Tim offered us today, on why you wish to support Central in the days ahead, and I look forward to next Sunday when we will dedicate those pledges together.